Welcome back, everybody, to another wonderful episode of the Any Given Day podcast. I'm Zach. That's Hunter. So, we're going to hop right into this. Obviously, we're going to start off with some somber news. UNC's Max Johnson will be out for the remainder of the season with a broken leg. He just had surgery on it. Luckily, successful, but unfortunate. I was really excited to see what he could do at North Carolina this year. I thought it would be a pretty good year, but
yeah, this is his third school after LSU and A&M.
Yeah,
or was it LSU then A&M?
It was LSU then A&M, I believe. It was one of the. I think it was LSU, A&M. Then Connor Weigman came in at A&M and he transferred.
Yep, yeah, that sounds about right.
Because Jaden Daniels came into LSU, and so he transferred out of LSU to A&M.
And Nussmeier.
Yeah, and Nussmeier came in. Yeah. But to go on to a happier note, ladies and gentlemen, we have our first upset of the college football season. We got it real early this year. The downfall in Dublin, Georgia Tech takes down Florida State 24-21. Now, if you just look at the box score, for you box score warriors out there, you would think that DJ Uiagalelei was a legend in this game. And you would be wrong. You would be wrong. You would think that he was the better quarterback in this game, and you would be wrong. I sent you a stat at halftime. He was 12 for 14 for 98 yards. Not a bad stat line. He had thrown, on average, for negative 1/10 of air yards. So, to me, that says everything was screens and behind there was hardly any actual passing going on. So,
yeah, that shows lack of confidence in a quarterback if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, I mean, to me, there's a reason he's now on his third school.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
There's nothing that says to me that he's definitely not better than Jordan Travis was.
Oh, God, no. God.
So,
just imagine Jordan Travis never gets hurt.
They make the playoffs.
Yeah, probably.
Probably. That was their whole reasoning for them not making the playoffs, is they didn't have a starting quarterback. That was the bullcrap reason they came up with, to keep an undefeated Florida State out of the playoffs. So,
did you see Kirk's tweet after the game?
No.
where he's just like, wow. I can't remember everything they said, but he's basically, oh my gosh, that's a really big upset. But good thing for Florida State fans now is in this 12-team playoff format, as long as they win out, they should still be in.
Unfortunately, that is true. Unfortunately.
They had the entire offseason to be ticked off, pissed off, use all the acronyms, all the coach speech, all that. We're angry. That shouldn't have happened. The Orange Bowl was not us, and then they immediately lose to another team from Georgia.
Yeah,
little brother team from Georgia at that. So
yeah. And in all honesty, it was actually a really good game.
mm-hmm.
Neither team really dominated. I mean, if you just watched the first drive of this game, you would have thought Florida State was going to win by about 70, because Florida State was running all over Georgia Tech's defense. Granted, anybody that knows anything about college football, generally first drives are scripted. That was scripted to perfection. After we got out of the scripted plays,
3-4.
Yeah, I mean, after we get out of the scripted plays, it did not go well for Florida State. Georgia Tech really couldn't get anything going on through the air. But the highlight of this game, 190 yards on the ground.
Very much. You can tell Brent Key is a former O lineman.
Oh yeah,
he loves to run the ball.
Yeah,
loves it.
I mean that's my highlight from the game is the post-game interview when they asked him what led to the success, what led to this win. Run the damn ball. I've been waiting forever for a coach not named Kirby Smart to say that.
Yeah.
And it seems fitting that it's another team from Georgia.
Look, I don't like Georgia Tech very much, as
Right.
a Georgia fan. I don't like them very much. But at the same time, when Georgia Tech is better, that means that rivalry game at the end of the year means so much more, right? Because it seems weird and wonky, but there's an off chance now that all of a sudden Georgia Tech might low key be a competitor. I'm not going to say they're the outright favorites to win the ACC now.
No, they're not.
But there's a very possible chance that they could be, 2-0 after next week, or I should say after this week.
The next
after
game,
tomorrow night. You get the Marta Bowl with Georgia State, the first ever matchup between those two teams. So that should actually be
a pretty good game.
Yeah. Del McGee, former Dog running back coach. Sorry, I'm just.
No, you're fine. Yeah, I mean, do I think Georgia Tech is going to finish, even make it to the ACC championship game? Probably not this year. Do I think they could be top 4, top 5 in the ACC? Absolutely. They have a really good team. I like Brent Key. I like what he's doing. And like you said, do I like Georgia Tech? No, not at all. I hate Georgia Tech. But like you said, it makes I like having good rivalries. I don't want, as a Georgia fan, to have a schedule full of rivalries that are just we play them every year and we beat them every year. I want good games. If we lose to Georgia Tech, whatever. At least it's a good game. I don't want lopsided rivalries like unfortunately Georgia has had over the last couple of years. Don't get me wrong; it's been nice.
Oh yeah, not having to worry about a certain team. Just no, we've got them. Don't worry. That's amazing.
Right.
It's a great feeling. Unstressful on Saturdays. Just like we know we're winning this one. We're good. I could actually. I'm not going to because it's almost sacrilege. You wait for the bye week to go to the apple farms.
Yeah.
But that's.
Yeah. I mean, it's good for college football in general to have good rivalries. That's just me. I'd rather there be good rivalries in college football. I don't want these lopsided rivalries. It doesn't matter whether I'm a Georgia fan or a Florida fan or whatever. That's just me. Personally, I'd rather have good games, exciting games, instead of one-sided rivalries that are no fun to watch. So that's just me.
We also have a few other games I think we got to talk about too. Going back to Max Johnson for a bit, North Carolina actually did go and beat Minnesota, like we both predicted.
Yep.
And I think honestly, that one just came down to coaching experience by Mac Brown.
Oh yeah,
a little bit. Like he knows how to handle it when your starting quarterback goes down, and honestly, if I'm being honest, the most memorable thing from that night, last night I should say, from that game, is the fact that Minnesota fired off fireworks after missing the game-winning field goal.
Yeah. Kind of embarrassing, but
it's college football, though.
It's college football.
Some students were probably in charge of the fireworks, let's be honest.
No, absolutely they were.
And then it's like, oh no. Oh no.
Oh, you know that's what happened.
It would be amazing.
You 1,000% know that's what happened. But yeah.
I think the next game was North Dakota State versus Colorado, which almost. I'll let you take the lead on this one, man, because we both know how to get in Colorado. So,
really good game, actually, surprisingly. As much as I would have loved for North Dakota State to win, I thought that there was no chance. Colorado was just too talented. Obviously, having Travis Hunter, probably the most athletic player in the country, and he did prove that in this game. He was ridiculous. He made a lot of good plays. Granted, he did. Don't give me that look. He made. Did you see that touchdown catch? It was ridiculous.
Did you see him get beat on that comeback route?
Hey, he's a better wide receiver than a defensive back. Okay, I don't care what the NFL scouts say. He's a better wide receiver than a defensive back.
I think I saw Brooks Austin put it out earlier today. He's top 5 as a wide receiver, top 32 Easily. Pick. And this is pick wise, top 5 pick as a wide receiver, top 32 pick as a defensive back. So yeah, he's still a first rounder.
Yeah, he's first round either way, but he's top 10 pick as a wide receiver easily, if not top 5. My problem with this game, to get back into it, the amount of penalties that were not called on Colorado to end the game, specifically the targeting call that would have put North Dakota State on the 4-yard line with 9 seconds left in the game, not being called, along with many other penalties on Colorado that were not called.
I saw the tweet you saw, right, about the targeting. I thought he mentioned the 4-yard line as in, that's where the ball was when the North Dakota State guy came down with it. Therefore, if he had had an extra 15 yards, it would have been in the end zone. It would have been a game winner.
No. Because if there had been a penalty, even if he was at the 4-yard line, I put him at the 1 or like the inch yard line, either way, it wouldn't have been a touchdown. If he wasn't in the end zone, it would have been a 15-yard penalty from the spot of the foul, which it can't. So it's actually, I think it's half the distance of the goal at that point.
So I thought in college, I thought pros, it was okay. Pass interference is like spot of the foul, and then like in college, all of it's like 15 yards.
It is
from the spot of the ball, the original spot of the ball, and that happened the play before the Hail Mary. So my thought was, that should have been an extra 15 yards, and then he would have ended up in the end zone instead, because the Colorado players were going for the interception instead of to bat it down.
Theoretically. I mean, like, they can't score a touchdown off of a penalty, obviously.
Yeah.
It would just put them at the end, which I don't know. College rules are obviously NFL to put them at the 1-inch line. But I believe college football, if you can't take a 15-yard penalty, it's half the distance to the goal.
Yep.
So it would have put them, I assume they were at the 8, and it would have been half the distance to the goal. The targeting penalty happened at the 8, would have been half distance to the goal. It would have put North Dakota State on the 4-yard line with 9 minutes left, or 9 seconds left, which would have given them a pretty good shot to at least have a chance to win the game there. But obviously, a lot of penalties missed.
Like 4 seconds got ran off the clock when they shouldn't have after a first down.
Yeah, it was a very sloppy game. A
sloppy
good game. It was a really good game, but a sloppy game.
And as good as he is, Travis Hunter had like 2 or 3 push-offs that should have been called.
Yeah.
Shiloh Sanders probably should have been ejected because there was like 2 personal foul penalties before he got called for the first one that got called.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very sloppy officiated game, but a very good game, actually. A lot better than I thought it would be. So I'm not complaining. I will say, if you're an AD and you schedule North Dakota State week 1, you should be fired because that seems like a bad idea. As much as I like good games. Any of these powerhouse FC or App State. Any of these big upset teams that just come into places and win games they shouldn't. I believe you should be fired. If you're like, yeah, sure, why not? Especially coming off the year Colorado had last year and all the disaster of an offseason that this was. And you're
survived.
Like, yeah, absolutely.
They survived last night. And
that's what it's about.
I'll say this. I think Colorado has the better overall athletes, and hey, props to Shador. I give it to both of them when they deserve it. When he wasn't out there faking the cramp. Now, granted, that was one time, right?
Yeah.
But he made several off-platform throws when he had to make them, not when he was trying to look cool and all that. When he was actually trying to make them, he made several of those. I, he took a hit that he knew he was fixing to get drilled on to deliver a throw downfield. He's he's a good quarterback, okay? And I
Yeah.
haven't seen yours yet this season, so we'll see. I still think overall Carson Beck should be the number one quarterback off the board.
Yeah. Probably, but
But
you know,
Shador can make a case. I think. Sorry.
no, I agree. Do we got any more games left?
Uh, Speaking of teams you don't want to see in the first week or in a possible upset scenario, Coastal Carolina.
Yeah.
We were both wrong on that one.
I was misinformed.
It was the fighting Chanticleers, man. They don't take that crap.
They didn't want to look like cats. You know, they don't want to look like pretty cats. They're some
I,
dogs.
I would also like to point out that Grayson McCall's first game at North Carolina State, they struggled a bit against West Carolina, and the first game that Coastal Carolina does not have Grayson McCall, they dominated.
Yeah, they
Um,
did.
I should have gone with my gut and gone with the Chanticleers, but I went with the
Me
Steiners
too,
instead.
probably, but
You followed your heart.
I did. Now I know. Now I
Eh.
know how I'm gonna pick the first game of the of our slate here today.
Oh, oh. Anyway, moving out of the reviews, I guess we'll say. Let's
Yeah.
You got some more news, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah. Zachariah and Zion Branch, the USC brother duo, are the first college football players to sign an NIL deal with the Jordan brand. Who would have thunk it? It'd be some kids from USC.
How, how many
Not to hate on the
pairs?
kids.
How many
How
free
many free
pairs of
pairs?
shoes do you think they got?
A bunch. At least
No, and
one.
I'm thinking one, but no more than I'd say three. But I'm leaning more towards like one or two, if I'm being honest.
I
As
mean,
cool as that, as cool as that would be, that the pro. I would be shocked if they got like a gift card and it's like, okay, you got like $2,000 on this gift card that you can buy Jordan apparel stuff. So
do you
go
think
ham.
they get a custom shoe?
No,
You don't think they get a
no,
custom shoe?
no. No, look, it's nothing against. It's nothing against them as players. From what I remember, both of these guys are pretty talented. Um, but when it comes down to it, they're going to be more regionally known right now than anything.
Yeah.
If it had been Caleb Williams that had signed the Jordan Brand deal, NIL deal last year, I could see
Oh,
him
he
getting
gets
a
his
shoe
own
maybe.
shoe. Yeah.
If it was, I'd even go so far to say Shador Sanders. If it was him, I could see it happening. Um, but
Yeah, but
but
you're not going to see. I mean, we know who Zachariah and Zion Branch are, but
yeah,
also we watch a lot of college football. So,
hmm
does the general person that wears Jordan or likes Jordan brand stuff know who they are? Probably not. No offense to them.
that's such a niche thing, and I say niche thing, right? I'm wrong on that because that would mean it's a very narrow market. You have everyone knows what Jordan Brand is, but it's got so many different fans. Like you've got basketball fans, obviously the ones who first got onto it because it's Michael Jordan's brand. It was his shoe. You got sneakerheads who collect the Air Jordan, like just any Jordan brand shoe they can get realistically, so that they've got a nice set of pairs to wear. Just different things like that. So I maybe, but not. They're not. They're not a national brand yet.
No. Maybe one day, but not right now. So this is huge news to me. Personally. I love it. Tyler from Spartanburg has won, and Dabo will no longer allow live callers on his radio show. Tyler from everybody at the Any Given Day podcast, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
Thank you.
I can't stand Dabo personally. I mean, he's a good guy. Don't get me wrong.
Yes.
He's a good guy.
Upright Christian man.
And I like him as a guy, as a man. I think he's a really great person. But as a football coach, can't stand him. I can't stand him as a football coach.
Here's what I'll say. If I got the opportunity to play for him, I wouldn't turn it down.
No, but
it's just like, the one that gets seen in the media and the way the media likes to portray and spin things and all that. Obviously, he's just very, very goofy, very old school, kinda. Not full old school, but like
he's like your best friend's dad.
Exactly.
Like he tries to be cool.
That you grew up calling Uncle Dabo.
Or
something.
Yeah.
Because of how goofy he is, just...
Like, you remember the video a while back of Brian Kelly dancing with a recruit?
Yeah.
Like that. It's like that guy. He thinks he's way too cool, but he's really not. Like, my problem with Dabo, personally, he had his 15 minutes of fame. He had 5 good years at Clemson. Won, 2 national championships?
Yep.
2 national championships in 3 years.
One of only 3 active coaches with a national title. Sorry.
Yes. I mean, and that's great. But he's still riding the coattails of that. Clemson is relevant because of something that happened in, 2016?
Yeah.
It's the last time they made the playoffs later in 2018? And got killed by Ohio State?
2018, they won it. No one was stopping.
Yeah, 18 was the last time.
Yeah.
And then 19, they made it and lost to Ohio State.
No, wait.
19 was Justin Fields' year, right? Where Ohio State made the national championship and lost to LSU.
19 was LSU, Team of Destiny.
Yeah. I thought they played. No. Clemson made it to the national championship and got killed by LSU.
I think that's what happened.
In 19, because Ohio State played played LSU in the first round, I think.
2019 national championship, Clemson. Now, granted, 2018 season, 2019 national championship because it's the first month of 19. So
right.
Technically have to go 2020 national championship. They got killed by LSU 42-25. But the year before they killed Alabama.
But it's been a minute since LSU's done anything. And we still consider them a powerhouse because of something that they haven't done since 2019.
Because they're still, up to this point, overall, probably considered the best team in the ACC, especially after the FSU loss. Now, are they going to start the season undefeated? I don't think so.
Probably not, but
we'll get to that later. But
it's possible. Anything's possible on any given day, on any given play in college football. But I don't know. We'll get into that later. Yeah. But that's enough of my Dabo ranting. I apologize.
I just want to say, like, I shouldn't have just broken down laughing earlier about it, but I keep replaying that call in my head.
It's iconic.
Oh, it was hilarious. But the fact is, he's still going to have callers. They're just going to be vetted first, basically. They're going to be pre-recorded questions. That way, they don't get a
Tyler from Spartanburg.
Yeah, or an F. Boston Connor incident.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, absolutely.
That kid was 8.
That's crazy.
Yep. Yeah.
Our last little bit of news before we get into this week's slate of games. Colorado had filed a complaint with the Pac-12 last season against Oregon, alleging that they illegally accessed their practice videos. Catapult has come out and said that after a thorough investigation, there was no wrongdoing by Oregon or anybody else. So, my question, Hunter, do we put this one in Colorado and Dion's loss column?
I think so.
I think you have to.
It's just another loss. It's just it's another loss in the media's viewpoint. Now, granted, it was rough watching that Colorado game last night. I will say, because the announcers would not get off of them, and it's like, dude, you've got some talent, yes, but you're not going to. You've got Shedeur Sanders, you've got Shiloh Sanders. Shedeur, in my opinion, is the more talented of the two.
Absolutely.
I don't see Shiloh being a first-round pick. I think Shiloh might be a third, fourth-round pick.
Yeah. Depending on how the rest of this year goes, he may fall 5, 6, something.
Yeah.
But he'll get drafted.
Yeah, you got Travis Hunter. You got Gage Goldberg.
Yeah, I mean...
No, Goldberg's son is a linebacker for Colorado.
Yeah.
Sunberg.
Frick.
The wrestling fans will get that. Sorry.
The last thing I will say about Colorado before we get into this week's games. This may be a hot take, but Deion Sanders is not a D1 football coach.
Ooh.
By any means. I don't think he's got what it takes to be a successful D1 football coach. Is he a great person? Do I thank him for everything he did for the city of Atlanta? Absolutely. Was he one of the greatest defensive backs of all time? Absolutely. Hall of Famer. Do I think he's a good coach? No, I think he's more about clicks. He's more about hot takes. He's more about saying something to get his name and his kids' names. And I'm going to throw Travis Hunter in there as one of his kids because he treats them just like his kids. He does anything to get their names out there, and I am fully confident that once they leave for the NFL, he's going to be gone. I don't think he stays at Colorado. Maybe 1 or 2 more years after his kids leave, but I don't think he stays at Colorado long term by any means.
No. Now, granted, Colorado's going to try to keep him, I think, a little bit longer, obviously, because,
it's the name. The name sells itself.
Exactly. He did great down at Jackson State. Whatever.
Jackson State, yeah.
Jackson State, yeah. He did great down there. I think he would be a heck of a FCS coach, because you can't forget that he took Travis Hunter from Florida State to Jackson State, which a lot of people would consider a huge downgrade. But
it was.
But he got him over there. And I think he would actually still be a bigger threat over at Jackson State to recruiting wise than he would over at Colorado or Florida State and places like that. Because he can win.
I will say, if he did get the Florida State job instead of a Colorado job, right? And he takes Shedeur and Shiloh and Travis to Florida State with this talent that's already on Florida State's team. I mean, if you can imagine Florida, I think Shedeur's probably a top 5 quarterback. If you take Shedeur to that Florida State team and you throw in Travis Hunter and Shiloh on that defense and Travis obviously on both, Florida State is probably a real threat this year, and this conversation is probably a whole lot different. But Colorado is not the recruiting hotbed that Florida State is. This conversation is probably completely different. But
and it's not so much that it's not a recruiting hotbed, right? I've got a cousin. She transferred to Alabama, right? But she started
right,
out going to college up at Colorado. From everything I've heard, beautiful. If you can get people up there to visit on an official visit, they are just blown away by the mountains, the breathtaking view, all that. Um, summer's probably a lot easier up there for summer practices than it is down here because in like the south because of the heat and the humidity. Um, I I've heard nothing but good things about Colorado, but it's just I don't even think it's the fact that he hasn't. It's not a recruiting hotbed, like I said.
right.
I think he's been trying to patchwork it too much with the transfer portal. He's been relying too much on that instead of the actual high school recruiting.
Yes, and I don't think that he cares about recruiting a whole lot. I mean, obviously, he cares about his kids and Travis Hunter,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why I think he's not going to stick it out long term. He's here to make sure that Travis Hunter and his kids have a college career and a college coach that's going to push them and put them in the front and center and allow them to play no matter what,
Yep.
no matter what mistakes they make, they're going to play, which means they're going to get attention and he can push them to be better.
And
So
he can
I
get
don't think he
coaches in the
cares about
NFL.
recruiting. He's going to patchwork this team via transfer portal for as long as he can, and then he's going to get out because he doesn't care about recruiting. He's not traveling across the country to go recruit because the name sells itself. And he's going to sit there and go, if you want to come play for me, come play for me. I'm not going to chase you. I'm Deion Sanders.
Yeah.
So, like, I just don't think he's going to stick it out long term. I think give him a year or two and he's gone.
You've got a legend in Warren Sapp as one of your defensive coaches. He's not the straight up defensive line coach. He's like a senior defensive quality control analyst or something like that. He basically helps coach the D line, though. I wouldn't even be shocked if he's the actual one coaching them up, and the actual D line coach is kind of like okay. But that's just my thoughts. I don't know for sure. You've got a legend in him. You've got Ed Reed around the team because that's someone that looked up to Deion, viewed him as a mentor once he got to the NFL. You've got flipping Terrell Owens on the sideline last night.
Yeah.
So I mean, you've got Hall of Famers around this team, and if he actually wanted to, and I can't believe I'm fixing to say this, but if he sticks around for 2 or 3 years after his kids are gone, maybe something clicks and he's like, you know what? The competitive fire is still there. I do want to win a national championship here. Or I want to win a national championship as a coach. Then maybe it's like, maybe something will click. He'll start recruiting properly. I say properly. You can recruit in so many different ways now, right? So he recruits through the transfer portal, but maybe he starts recruiting through the high school and he starts, coalescing that team together, and they're able to go on a run. Maybe he's able to get some talent and go on a run.
Yeah.
I would be curious because it's like I was saying, you have all these Hall of Famers there. You have all this experience, all these legends that could pass down their knowledge to these kids. It would be amazing.
Yeah.
I
agree.
don't know
Probably not. All right. That's enough bashing on Colorado. We're going to hop into this week's games, starting with number 14 Clemson at number 1 Georgia. Lines Georgia by 13.5. Over under is 48.5. It's going to be on at 12 on ABC. For me, I feel like what you got to watch out for is that Clemson defense, specifically that front seven. It's probably one of the best anybody's going to see all year, specifically Peter Woods. He played defensive tackle last year. I know there's been some talk about him moving to defensive end. I don't know that I like that, but he's a freshman, I believe.
Yeah, I don't agree with that myself either. Well, no, he. Wait, did he play defensive tackle last year in high school, or did he play it in?
He may be a sophomore or a sophomore,
Okay.
but he was a defensive tackle, and they're moving him to defensive end for some reason. He was a game wrecker
Oof.
last year, so I mean, he was a freshman last year. He'll be a
So,
sophomore this year, but he was like a game wrecker at defensive tackle, and now they've moved him out to the edge against much more athletic, lengthy tackles as opposed to the center or guard,
no.
and further away from the action. I don't know if I love that, but either way, this is probably the most talented front seven anybody's going to see all year. So uh, you pair that with Georgia having question marks at running back heading into this game. Obviously, Roderick Robinson is going to be out for a little while. Just had surgery, had turf toe.
4 to 6
Don't really
weeks.
know what's going on with ETN. I don't really know.
I think one thing you do have to watch out for as well, for Georgia, and I wrote down in the notes about that is Oscar Delp, because people are going to see him and they're going to be like, "That's not Brock Bowers."
No.
It's like Oscar Delp is still a great to elite tight end, but Brock Bowers was a generational talent. So like people have to realize, oh, we don't have a generational talent at tight end. I say we. Georgia doesn't have a generational talent at tight end right now. Yes, but you still have an elite tight end room. Altogether, these guys are super elite. Watch out for Ben Urasek as well.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
but
personally, for me, I think it's going to be. There's only two ways this can go. It's going to be a blowout, and Georgia's going to win, or it's going to be a really close, really, really close game, and it's going to come down to a final second, final play, and it's going to be a 50-50. There's no way Clemson's blowing out Georgia.
no.
So either Georgia's going to blow them out, or it's going to be a tight, like the last time they played in Atlanta, coming down to the end, just defensive slug fight. And for that reason, I do believe Georgia's defense is better than Clemson's defense right now, just based off of merit. Just the totality of the defense, I do believe that I like Georgia's defensive backs better, especially with Ellis Robinson coming in. He could be playing a huge role. Daniel Harris getting a bigger role than last year. Dalen Everett gets another year of development. Julian Humphrey gets another year of development. Malachi Stark's probably the best safety in the country, other than Caleb Downs.
KJ Bolden could be playing that Malachi Starks role. Like a few years ago when Malachi Starks came in at Oregon.
Yeah, got that interception as a true freshman. Yeah,
Dan Jackson got the start, right? He started the first 2-3 drives. Then Malachi's in, he gets that interception, and the coaching staff is like, "Oh, he can play."
Yeah,
and so
never
Dan
looked
Jackson
back.
is getting the start against Clemson alongside Malachi. But you can see KJ Bolden.
You see KJ, you got Jonel Aguero, who could be playing the star or playing a little bit of safety, rotating in. You got Jake Pope, the Alabama transfer. He could be getting some time. So for that reason, I got Georgia winning this one. I think it's going to be in a tight one, though. I just think Clemson's front seven's too strong for it to be a blowout.
I also have Georgia winning. I have Clemson covering, right? 13.5 is a little bit, 12, whatever it's at this point. I have them covering by the barest margins, but I do think Georgia wins. One other thing I will say to watch out for in this game: secondaries versus receiving course, right? Apparently, Clemson likes to go and send a lot of pressure. They do man almost every play, so that's going to be something to watch. Between that and watching Georgia's secondary go up against their receivers, when they don't necessarily have a Hunter Renfro, Sammy Watkins,
Tyler Boyd, Justin Ross,
you know,
one of the many
yeah,
fantastic Clemson receivers of old. So
yeah.
DeAndre Hopkins, not to forget an all-time great.
Gosh, how can we forget about DeAndre?
Oof. All right, next game, number 8 Penn State at Take Me Home, Country Roads, West Virginia.
Morgantown, baby.
Morgantown, baby. McAfee State over here. Lines Penn State by 8.5. Over under 51.5. Be on at 12 at on Fox. For me, this is going to be Penn State should win this game, but it's going to stand on the shoulders of Drew Aller and whether he can take that final step and take that next step forward and actually prove he can be a good college quarterback. And if you do look at that recruiting class, his recruiting class, that has to be one of the all-time biggest letdowns of a quarterback recruiting class ever. I mean, it's him and Cade Klubnik are your big two, and neither have really taken that final step, and they've been the best out of that recruiting class in college so far.
Don't forget, Klubnik did beat out DJU, who at one point was the number 1 quarterback in the same class as CJ Stroud.
Yeah.
I
mean, CJ Stroud is going to be starting his second year in the NFL, and DJU is on his third team in 4 years.
Yeah. It's ugly work, man. It's
it's crazy, but
crazy. Who you got?
But I mean, yeah, looking at that, I like West Virginia. I don't think they're good enough to beat Penn State, so I got Penn State winning this one.
Well, then I should go ahead and let you know this is our first disagreement of the week. I think home field advantage. They canceled classes today because Pat was back in town to do his show from there. They canceled classes for him. Crowd's amped up. Campus is amped up. First game of the week, fighting Neil Browns. Give me the Mountain.
I mean, personally,
just Drew Aller gives me an feeling,
and that's fine. I don't necessarily disagree. I think Penn State as a whole is a better team than West Virginia, and they've played in probably much louder places. I mean, I think they played at Michigan. They've played at Ohio State. I mean, this team has played in some loud places. And I don't think, as amped up as that crowd's going to be, it's not going to be as loud as Ohio State or Michigan or anywhere else they could have played in the Big Ten. So that's just my reasoning. I may be wrong. I may be terribly wrong. And you'll finally get that win back and you'll tie it back up. So I'm not complaining.
Okay, next game is going to be number 19, Miami at Florida in the Swamp. Miami is favored in this one by 2.5. The total is 54.5. So pick the over or the under. Really, I'll leave it up to you. It's 3:30 p.m. on ABC and or ESPN Plus. I think the things you have to watch out for in this one are going to be the quarterbacks. Graham Mertz, the moment he got away from Wisconsin, he looked so much better than he did over at Wisconsin at Florida last year. Cam Ward was arguably the top quarterback in the portal that apparently Florida State was going to go after, but then they're like, oh, we don't want to pay money to you. So Miami came in and threw a bag at him.
Yeah.
Imagine how different the Dublin game is with Cam Ward at quarterback. I don't know what it would have been like because we haven't seen him play yet, but he's probably a better quarterback than DJU.
Everybody's a better quarterback than DJU.
KJ Jefferson? I'll
that
say better athlete cheeks. Than DJU.
Better athlete. Better quarterback? Probably not. You know who is a better quarterback, though? The new starting quarterback that I believe ULM, General Booty.
How'd I know you were going to bring How'd I know?
Podcast legend, General Booty.
No. Noah Fafita is the podcast legend. Anyways, I think the quarterbacks or the coaches will decide this one, because either one of the quarterbacks is going to decide to go and win it out of nowhere, or what's more than likely to happen is one of the coaches is going to end up costing themselves. It's and I'm leaning more towards the latter. So, who you got?
The question is, who do I trust more? I mean, I trust Billy Napier about as far as I can throw him.
But is that the Georgia bias?
I mean, I trust Mario Cristobal about as far as I can throw a boulder.
I think he could throw Napier farther than he could a boulder.
Correct. You are correct.
You going Florida with the upset?
It's in the swamp, right?
Yep. Mario Cristobal still probably doesn't know how to take a knee.
That's what concerns me. Miami's going to be up with like 30 seconds left, and I'm going to run the ball, and then
Fumble. Recreation of last year. Tech's big win last year.
I think Miami's a better team. Do I, though? Florida's actually a really good team. They just have a really tough schedule this year, and Billy Napier's an idiot. God forgive me. That felt blasphemous to say that about a man that's so close to home. But he's an idiot.
Chatsworth Billy, he'd whoop you in a fight.
Yeah, but he's an idiot. He's a redneck. He's a dumb redneck.
Dear Lord.
And for that reason, I feel like I have to pick Cam Ward and the Miami Hurricanes to pull off the win in the swamp.
It would not be an upset. It would not be an upset.
I don't like it. I don't like either option in this game. I like Miami better than I like Florida. And I feel like that's some bias coming in because I can't stand Florida, but I also don't trust Billy Napier, and he's an idiot. So I feel like I have to pick Miami.
Here's what I'll say. We have our second disagreement. I'm picking Florida. And the reason why I'm picking Florida is every time Miami, it feels like is fixing to be back. They're supposed to win this game. They're supposed to win these games, right? And then something happens. It's in the swamp. Combine it with the fact that it's Miami in the swamp.
It'll be
taking
rocking.
my chances with Florida.
It's going to be hotter than heck, too.
The humidity is going to be terrible. Oh, my God.
That's going to be a knockdown, drag-out fight.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I'm picking Florida.
Honestly, I feel like it's a toss-up. I mean, as much crap as I talk about Florida, I feel like it's a toss-up. It could really go either way. Ugh.
Moving on to our last and final game. Number 7 Notre Dame at number 20 Texas A&M. The line is A&M by 3. The total for this game is 46.5. It's a 7:30 kickoff at night on ABC and ESPN Plus. I think the things you have to watch out for in this game are the quarterbacks Riley Leonard and Connor Whiteman. But more so than that, watch out. Watch out for how Mike Elko goes and schemes the defense. Remember, Riley Leonard was his quarterback at Duke last year until he got hurt. If anyone knows him, it's Elko. Who you got?
In my head, I have to remember this is post-Jimbo Texas A&M.
Yeah.
The pre-Jimbo A&M loses this game by about 1,000.
Probably.
But Mike Elko A&M, we don't know nothing about yet. This is a complete toss-up. And it's a two-way street, right? Obviously, Mike Elko knows Riley Leonard's weaknesses and strengths, and he can scheme against that. But Riley Leonard has practiced against a Mike Elko defense for his entire college career up to this point. So he knows a Mike Elko defense probably better than anybody. But it's like the master and the apprentice. Who wins? And because I'm a massive Star Wars fan.
Oh. Not where I thought you were going.
Hunter, can you tell me who wins in the fight between Anakin and Obi-Wan on Mustafar?
Okay. I was just going to say which one.
Yeah, on Mustafar.
Well, seeing as Anakin had both his legs cut off, and I think another one of his arms cut off, and was immediately sent into a lava pit where he was burned alive, I would say Obi-Wan, the master.
Yes, you would say that, right?
Right.
But that's not the only time they fought. And you know who won the second time? The Apprentice, and that's why Notre Dame and Riley Leonard is going to beat Texas A&M to open up the year.
Okay. Okay. Hey, fair enough. You had me going along with it. You were leading all of us, weren't you? I'm in a bit of a pickle, right? Everything you said makes sense. But I also think how rejuvenated the cult that is A&M and their yell leaders will be now that Jimbo is gone. Now that that massive chip is off their deadgum shoulder. Now that Mike Elko is the head coach, they have hope again, right?
Sure.
And you remember how many people Kyle Allen Field holds, right?
About 100,000.
102, 103,000, something like
around that number.
Right?
Yeah, around that number.
If I remember correctly, it is the largest stadium in the SEC. We have the Catholics versus the cult.
God.
It's always going to happen though.
Oh.
My bad. That would be Notre Dame versus Minnesota.
And that's exactly what I was thinking. Oh. It's Catholics versus Cowboys?
They're Aggies.
No, they're not. They're Aggies. There's not a good name for somebody that just cares about plants. Nobody cares about plants.
Eco-terrorist?
Yeah. Yeah, the Catholics versus the eco-terrorists. I love that. Somebody put that on a shirt.
Are they vegan? No, they're not. They've won a barbecue national championship. Fun fact for you. They have a barbecuing national championship in college. You can actually get a full-blown scholarship to A&M for barbecuing.
I have a question.
I might
have a statement, rather.
Go for it.
Quit buying time and make a pick.
Okay. I'm going to go with the master. I'm going with Elko and A&M and the Colt.
Nah.
Third disagreement.
That's
Either
fair.
you are going to have an overwhelming lead or I'm going to somehow turn this around.
Only in week 1. It's crazy.
Or we might end up tied again. Either way, that was the last game we're picking for Saturday at least. We'll be back. I don't know if tomorrow night's episode will be live. I don't think it will be. But
the live stream will be live on
So we will be live streaming it as well.
Yeah.
Tomorrow night's episode. Okay, we'll be back live tomorrow night. We will be reviewing these games. Notre Dame and Texas A&M might be towards the end of that game. We'll be keeping up to date with it. And then we will be going into previews for Sunday's game between LSU and USC. Spoiler alert, I'm not picking the team from South Carolina, or South California, I should say. They're basically the same at this point to me. And then we'll probably also be previewing the game between FSU and Boston College. No spoilers for that one because I don't know who I'm picking in that one yet.
Bastin.
But till then, you got anything else you want to say?
No.
No, you tired?
Live long and prosper, and go Dogs. I mean,
I thought it was like that. Not that. Okay.
It doesn't matter. It's
Okay,
you know.
Fair play. You're the one quoting Harry Potter earlier.
This is true.
Late.
This is true.
Anyways, remember, guys, we'll see. I can't. I'm laughing too much. We'll see you on the next play, and remember, anything could happen on any given day. Bye, guys.
Bye.